Programımızda ana konuşmacı Profesör Doktor Martin Sivel'in dijital çağda işletmeciliği yeniden düşünmek isimli konuşmasıyla devam ediyoruz. Online gerçekleştirecek olan bu oturum sonunda kendisine sorularınızı görevli arkadaşlarımızdan isteyeceğiniz mikrofon aracılığıyla iletebilirsiniz.
Dear Professor Martin Sivel, we are leaving the scene to you.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'll share the screen. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Good. Yes, I'm here to discuss rethinking business management in the digital age. We are genuinely living in an exceptional time. We're living through the fastest technological shift in human history. The amount of compute used for training AI models is super exponential, greatly exponential in the last 10 years, and also the declining cost is also super exponential. And since around 2012, the true innovation hasn't been novel algorithms particularly, it's been a case of scale, with exponentially more data, more compute power, and billions or trillions of parameters in the models. And that means, from an organizational point of view, it's important that businesses can scale. It's not necessarily that the most successful businesses have the best novel algorithms, but they're able to scale. And before I talk about what's new, it's also important to recognize a lot of things don't change and won't change. Essentially, human nature will always need good management. We'll always have hierarchy among humans. Incentives always matter as humans. Opportunity costs are always important. As individuals, it always pays to specialise. Productivity growth will continue to make us richer. Market economies make us richer. And we also will continue to have economic bubbles. For example, according to the MIT report, 95% of organizations see little, no return from generative AI, and obviously customers are always the most important thing. And moving on to the changes shaping business, the technological shifts are obviously AI and automation, big data, analytics, cloud computing, and Internet of Things. Near zero marginal cost for digital goods. Organizational shifts, from rigid hierarchies to network organizations, although as I said earlier, hierarchies are still relevant among humans. Platform economies and data-driven decision making. And also, when it comes to recruitment, it can be global, and people can work remotely or hybrid. And I suppose the important point is that technology has been changing more rapidly than the management theory. Yes, firms can now analyze belief data points instantly, predict behavior with machine learning, scale globally, micro and automate workflows, and build products by APIs, microservices, and agentic AI. However, competition is now global, so there's greater competition. Technology cycles are shorter, so we have to act more quickly. There may be ethical challenges, and decision fatigue increases. Yes, there's no point in thinking that the 5-year plan technology cycle is much shorter. Teams can tend to be more agile, cross-functional, can be decentralized decision-making, and remote and hybrid workforces. So the new managers today and tomorrow need to be data literate, AI literate, and experimental mindset, be prepared for things to fail quickly, systems thinking, people that adapt more quickly, and interdisciplinary collaboration. You need to build organisations that learn continuously to keep up with competition, treat technology as a partner, not a threat, so embrace it. And if it doesn't work, let it fail quickly. But we'll always design people first. That's what comes from the technology second. Yes, people talk a lot about the value of data, but it's not really data that has the value, it's the information. We process that data, it's great information, and that's what has value. You know, that's what the likes of Facebook do. And there haven't actually been that many important inventions recently, but it's actually the innovation that drives value, new ways of using existing tools. Yes, technology such as AI can be a substitute or a complement. You can substitute for performance, i.e. replace someone, a bad programmer, or if someone is already a good programmer, they can use AI to enhance their performance and complement it. So key management still knowing when to automate something with humans, and when to substitute human labour, and when to complement it. Yes, people talk a lot about AI being biased. Of course, AI simply reflects the data that it's trained on, and real-world data will obviously include human biases. It could be argued that we keep biases in if we want it to be relevant to society as it is, or it could also be argued we want to remove biases. Arguments either way, and as ever, market can decide which systems are the most useful. In some sense, it appears that AI can make us dumber, and there has been some evidence of this. Like if you always use a calculator, you might use your arithmetic skills. Drivers using sat-nav, you might compromise your sense of direction if you just always use pilots using autopilot, they might become sometimes they like to switch it off so that they're still don't lose their skills. And referees using VAR, sometimes they'll be overly cautious and just let VAR make a decision, step back themselves. So it appears that we may as individuals lose some skills, but the idea is that we're free to do higher level things, and we end up better off. I mean, in principle, in football, VAR makes better decisions. Autopilot is better than a manual pilot. Calculators make less mistakes than us as humans. So ultimately, we are actually better off. Yes, I mean, calculators didn't kill maths, they advanced it because mathematicians couldn't get on with more difficult, important things. AI offloads repetitive cognitive labour, and we have instant access to knowledge, so we should be able to accelerate discovery by saving time doing simple things. And also, some argue that these days, it's not only just individuals who make great discoveries, but collaborative efforts, and some argue that it should be the same for AI. That's not to say there haven't been problems with generative AI. Although it's clear in the future there's still a lot of work to be done, and given how good it is, how good it's become in such a short time, imagine in 10, 20, 30 years, that a lot of these issues are going to be solved. Some people think it's important to regulate AI. I'm arguing here that it's not particularly. Regulation and competition law should concern protecting consumers and giving the consumers power to capture around 90% of the total value created by entrepreneurs. They're much better off, so it's not clear why we should have a big problem with Google and Facebook and such like when the consumers are benefiting in a significant way. And also it's difficult to regulate something that's too global, open source, cheap, and impossible to control centrally. Often, according to official metrics like GDP, we're not really that much better off. But the problem is GDP obviously is a perfect metric, but especially in the digital age, it doesn't really capture, for example, using WhatsApp for free globally. It's amazing for individuals, but if that GDP doesn't capture that, it doesn't capture the consumer surplus of Google and Facebook. It will just capture the advertisement revenue, but doesn't capture the improvement in our lives, and it doesn't capture cloud computing. In other words, it systematically underestimates how much richer our lives become due to technology. And yes, the economics. New technology displaces tasks, not people. Yes, it's true that AI will destroy jobs, but that's always the point of technical innovation. The idea is that those people then go on to do something else, and productivity rises, and wealth increases. There can be a painful transition, and it might be worse for some than others, but the end state is always supposed to be positive. Yes, do business leaders need to worry about crypto, stay involved about crypto? Because, I was thinking Bitcoin, but crypto generally, because of its static and deflationary money supply, that's the reason it's volatile and deflationary, which is why it turns out to be a poor medium of exchange. And neither of those things are going to change either, so it will always be a poor medium of exchange. That's not something that will change, because it's static. However, as you know, one can argue is a long-term store of value. But unlike a traditional currency, there's nobody there to stop it from collapsing or reduce volatility. There's nobody there to do that, so anything can happen. And also, most regulators prefer not anonymous, but private, whereas Bitcoin and crypto is exactly the opposite of what they like to see. It's anonymous, and yet it's not private because of the blockchain. It's not what most people want. However, they are effective, unregulated diversifiers within a portfolio, which is sort of the main positive I would take from crypto. And I want to make quantum computing as well. So the median guess from lots of experts is that quantum computing will be capable of factorizing 2048-bit number in less than 24 hours around 2036, so that current publicly algorithms will cease to be secure and will need to migrate to post-quantum cryptography. Yes, people often look at case studies of how some companies have been more successful. For example, Nokia famously failed because it was focusing on hardware, excellent engineers and did really well, but the market moved on and they weren't paying attention, software and such like, and they famously said that they didn't do anything wrong, but they lost anyway. And yeah, some of the other companies, they've changed the way they're organised to keep up with the technology and being successful on that basis. And yeah, looking ahead, superhuman AI, which is AI, which is the good or better than humans, will have an enormous impact in the next 10 years and forward. We can't plan the future because we don't know what's going to happen, we don't know what's going to work, we don't know what people want, so there's no point trying to do that. Some things will remain constant, human nature won't be changing, incentives will always matter, opportunity costs will always matter, and it's best to think in terms of what will be changing quickly and what will not be changing. And also remember that infinite economic growth on finite and is possible because growth measures value, not matter. And that's my last slide, so enjoy it if you can.
We are so thankful to Professor Dr. Martin Svel for his contribution to our conference.
Thank you.
Sorusu olan arkadaşımız var mıydı acaba?
Hi, Dr. Martin. Hi, Dr. Martin. I'm Ahmet, and I'm a business administration student. I have a question about the artificial intelligence. How should companies balance human decision-making with AI-based systems in order to create sustainable digital business models?
How can a company use AI systems to create sustainable business models?
Yeah, human balance with AI.
Well, as I say, that MIT report showed that a huge amount of money has been spent on generative AI by lots of companies, chatbots, and more intelligent than chatbots. But according to that MIT report, 95% had no value, had seen no value from that work. No company wants to be left out, so they always want to jump onto the AI bandwagon. But of course, there's always a bubble in technology, and there is a bit of a bubble. I mean, there's thousands of these companies using ChatGPT and trying to incorporate that in some way. I mean, I tried to do it myself, and it's tempting not to. I mean, it's tempting to do so, and it's all very exciting and fun. But of course, most of those will fail, and unless it's genuinely helping customers, and because often it appears to be very clever, but you think about, have I really saved any time by doing this? Yeah, I don't know if I answered the question very well, but yeah.
Hello, Dr. Martin. My name is Murat Azaltun. I'm teaching accounting, and I wonder how AI can be used to your teaching model, how you apply your teaching, AI-supported teaching. I mean, I want you get advice. I try to do my best. I use AI. Thank you.
AI in education. Yes, now that is an interesting one, because of course, if you, in the context of the business, you simply want to be as productive as you can be. But in education, you have a different goal, and that is generally to learn. And I mean, students that end up sitting in an exam hall without any technology, and those who are going to do best in that scenario are going to do best in their exam. So obviously AI can be used to help learn, to help revise. But of course, if it's overused and we lose our critical thinking, that's problematic as well. So it's slightly different in the education sector. If that in any way helps.
Hi Martin, thank you very much for your presentation. My name is Vildan and I'm a lecturer in management in business administration department. You mentioned about hallucination and you warned us about the challenges of AI. I was wondering if you give us some suggestions while we are using AI for our research, for our learning process. Anything that you would give as a suggestion to be careful about while working with AI to remove all these biases or hallucination problems that AI gives us?
One thing I've tried is using a half dozen different generative AI models. I use ChatGPT quite a lot, but I've also used something else as well. And you can see if there's any consistency among them. I find it's pretty good in general. It's quite reliable for most things. I never try and confuse it. I always, because it remembers, doesn't it? It knows, you know, who you are and what you're doing, and generally has a good understanding of that. I mean, it's not meant to generate any novel information, so in theory, in principle, you can check on the internet and just make certain claims, because that information should be there. I mean, like, one can always check Wikipedia as well, which is these days quite reliable generally. Yeah, I mean, that's how I use it. I mean, often it's straightforward questions you expect it to be give you a reasonable answer.
Başka sorusu olan var mıydı acaba?
Hello, Dr. Martin. I just have one question. I'm Rahman, and I'm a student here. You mentioned that the AI will change jobs, just like other technological changes brought new jobs and maybe replace others. However, I see AI slightly different because the job market that it will open is like a highly skilled job. But the jobs, like how do you see countries coping with that type of loss of jobs? Because a lot of people cannot replace those jobs and a lot of people will lose jobs. How do you see economies coping with that?
I agree. The transition can be painful, and for individuals who do lose a job, that's not fun at all. But the principle still stands that that's what makes us richer. That's what enables people to do other things. Because jobs within the context of business, jobs are cost, and in theory, it doesn't directly lead to unemployment in the longer term. It can just, the idea is those people are free to do something else. But no, I agree that people have different skills. And the market generally, the market does its thing. And it's not easy for everyone. We have to change our skills as well.
Başka sorusu olan var mı acaba? Sanıyorum ki yok. We are so thankful for answering our questions, Professor Dr. Martin. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good to see you all.
Sırada işletmelerin yeni yolculuğu, dijital çağda değer yaratmak isimli panelimiz var. Paneli modere etmek üzere işletme bölümü öğretim üyesi ve kongremiz dönem başkanı. Evet. Bu panelimiz saat 12'de başlayacaktır. Bu süre zarfında salonda veya dışarıda bekleyebilirsiniz. Teşekkür ederim.
Evet.